Will, could you tell us about your relationship with Caleb Williams, how far back it goes, and how current it is for people?
Yeah, yeah. So it goes all the way back to when Caleb was, I believe, a seventh grader. I used to live in Northern California. I had a facility out there, and his dad would bring him out to train. And then essentially, over through the high school and college period, we would either meet at events or certain locations, and through video and all, other ways we would continue to work together. The one thing Caleb has been super committed to is perfecting his craft, not afraid of the hard work, and he's not afraid to reach out to the right people. So we've kept that relationship strong for quite some time. And then when, as it crept closer to him becoming an NFL quarterback, I just made sure I let his team know that, I had the desire to take him to the next step as well. And so be a part of his draft prep and then continue on after that. And so we reunited. He moved out to Florida right after the Super Bowl, and we've been training ever since.
So what does that training entail?
Well, our basic draft prep program essentially is an 8-week intensive, 5 to 6 days a week. We're talking field work, speed work, strength and conditioning, medical, physical. We did, biomechanical analysis with our motion capture lab and all kinds of different things. He came in a little bit later, so really we just shifted that through to the pro day date as kind of our first target date. And then, when we're locked in and know where he was going to go for sure, then we start kind of angling the training more specific to what's required out of a pro, what kind of drops, what kind of footwork you're going to have to be required to do. And we could kind of specify that to the Bears organization with the new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and really start to dial in things so he can go into rookie mini camp ready to roll and, not be learning on the fly, get ahead on those things.
So that is the part that I'm especially interested in as we're talking to Will Hewlett, Caleb Williams' quarterback coach. So you said when it became clear where he was going, so when you knew he was going to be drafted by the Bears, what input then does Shane Waldron have in what you're doing?
Yeah, so I've known Shane for since he was I think he was the pass game coordinator with the Rams, so it's probably 6 or 7 years. So we've had a pretty strong relationship over those years. We've always kept in touch, whether it was with someone that, an organization he was looking for was going to draft, or just general talking ball and working together on things. So I had a pretty clear understanding of what's kind of required out of that, Shanahan McVay tree per se. And then I just got on the same page with Shane in terms of linking up, what we're doing from a drop standpoint on particular throws. The NFL it's a game of timing for quarterbacks. You're either on time or you're late, and so that comes down to the style of footwork. And so it's kind of meshing together some of Caleb's skill sets and things that he was comfortable with, and then kind of overlaying that of what the expectation is with Kerry Joseph and Shane Waldron and what they need to do to be successful in that offense. And we just kind of worked our way into that with what he already does. So traditionally, the last quarterback that Shane worked with was Gino up there with the Seahawks, and he was a left foot forward guy. Caleb's a right foot forward guy, essentially where you're taking the snap from shotgun. So there's some nuances in terms of shifting footwork and changing the timing of things that we were just digging into. But that's essentially been he's been training as a pro quarterback per se for the past 6 weeks. As soon as we kind of knocked out the pro day, it's been all focus has been on timing up with the routes that they're expected to run. And it's not a perfect process because we don't have Bears receivers out there. But it's just getting that first stage of it kind of locked in, and so we can hand them off to the Bears ready to roll.
Seems like an incredible opportunity for all involved to get that kind of symmetry with Shane Waldron. How rare is that in your profession for a quarterback about to be drafted to have that kind of cooperation?
It's an interesting conversation that I've been having lately with a couple people. It's unique because it only really times up where you have the first pick in the draft and they truly know who they're going to select, and so I think the last quarterback that probably had that was Trevor Lawrence with the Jags, where it's kind of a foregone conclusion that that's who they're going to take. So they have to be all in. Even with Anthony Richardson the year prior, There was still word on the street that Carolina might have taken him number 1 overall. We knew the Colts were pretty much a lock for taking him if he was available, but there was still 3 picks ahead of the 4th pick. So you can't really move the needle in terms of team specific, rules until that draft pick is in. And with Caleb, we had a pretty strong, depending unless the Bears wanted to go a different direction or Caleb, decided to go a different direction. We knew that was what it was going to be. So you can kind of move the needle there. It's a distinct advantage. And again, it only uniquely comes along when you have kind of a clear number 1 overall pick and a team that's going to draft a quarterback.
Do you have like Bears plays?
I have pieces. I don't have the plays. There's a certain level of, and again, it's not one of the things I could have the plays and would that really help because there's so many other layers that go into having a successful football play work. But we have the basic route concepts in terms of depths and timing. And then, how that matches together. And again, there's the NFL is somewhat of a copycat league, right, within the systems that are run. So there's stuff that we were already working on that it was just given a different name, instead of a pivot route, it's a thunder route or whatever the case may be.
So you have Shane Waldron terminology.
Yes, I have Shane Waldron terminology.
Okay. Is he changing his forward foot to be like Shane Waldron, or is he going to stay as a right foot forward guy?
So Shane, the conversation I had with Shane was he didn't have a preference on it because Russell Wilson was a right foot up guy. The only preference is that everything times up. So I think good coaches in the NFL, you've got to be able to work there's a level of comfort and change that you're willing to, give on. Right. And so if the quarterback is already having a high level of success doing it a certain way, and they've been doing it that way for the past 3 or 4 years, are we just going to change it, or are we going to just try to make the best out of it and match it into the system that we have, which happens a lot of the time. When you get big established starting quarterbacks in the NFL move to different teams, they're going to bring in typically their footwork and match it to the system. Usually with a rookie quarterback, it's going to be, you're going to insert in to how we do it. But he had, Caleb's had a lot of success doing things the way that he's been doing it. We went back and forth. We tried both different ways multiple times, and we just kind of settled. Hey, listen, I think things are going to time up. He felt better going right foot forward. Now, listen, that may all change. He gets to rookie camp. He goes, you know what? This is going to time up better. But we've worked on both enough to where I think he could probably do that. But it's a level of comfort. But then, as long as it's hitting the right timeline, then we're good to go.
Will, we had heard that there were 3 hours a week that the Bears could be in touch with Caleb. Is that accurate to your knowledge?
Yeah, as far as I understand, COVID, I think, kind of changed the thing, little things with the Zoom conversations. So you're allowed to communicate with the athlete. It was my understanding that he was able to do some of those sit downs with their organization. They're going to kind of maximize the time they can use and whether it's jumping on a Zoom call and just going through things. That's typically how that process works. And there's a limit to how much you can get through over Zoom, getting there in person. So I think it was a nice combo with that. And then having my relationship with the organization and just that tree of style of coaching, those things kind of tie together nicely. And
was Shane Waldron able to watch video of some of the work and give you input or give Caleb input based on that?
Yeah, we didn't go down that route just yet. That's something that we definitely could do in the future. I think just the amount of things that he had going on, adding another layer of video to send back, just from a time standpoint, wasn't necessarily the right thing to do at the time. That's probably something we'll consider doing, potentially this summer if need be. But Shane, I think, trusts me and what I'm doing, and I can give him the feedback needed to say, hey, these things are working, and you can roll with it.
So this is really fascinating stuff. Will Hewlett, Caleb Williams' quarterback coach, is our guest. So I want to just throw some football things at you that came up because we've been talking about the guy for the last 3 months, right?
Yep.
More fumbles than anyone in FBS. Is that a ball security issue? Is that a big game hunting issue? Why were fumbles a problem for Caleb Williams in college?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's probably a combination. I think that you got to look at every turnover, every fumble, everything with nuance and understand the situation. With Anthony Richardson, it was a inaccuracy issue, right? And not all misses are built the same. One of the things Caleb did was essentially in terms of creating extra time to throw. There was no one better and no one more elite than Caleb in college football. And I think sometimes, and I don't think he would deny it. He's put in a situation where he's got to do maybe a little too much, kind of hero ball, or baller mode, we kind of say. And I think he's hungry for structure, which it's tough. With the college game, you're a college coach. Obviously, you can recruit guys, but you can't necessarily draft a left tackle that's going to be able to be a lock fit for you to not give up any sacks. And so Caleb's a competitor. I think you've got to find the fine line there of like, listen, we may risk a turnover here or there with this style of play, but it's ultimately the reason why they're able to win games and put all the points up that they're able to, when you're kind of playing from behind or always playing catch up with pressure on. So I think the pro game is going to be so good for him because the structure level is going to be so much higher. And he's not going to have to be the best player on the field every single play. He's got Keenan Allen, Moore, and then, a tons of Cole Kmet, a bunch of really good, talented, high level NFL players where his goal is just to get the ball in their hands. So, the structure of the NFL game will work to his skill sets nicely, and he's ready for that.
So, yeah, hungry for structure, because that was another thing that people want, like, that he would pass up layups in college. He would pass up the single to try to hit the triple. But you're saying in the NFL, he is ready to be an on-time player and take the singles when provided.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the nice thing about the NFL, and it's kind of it's an interesting dynamic. The NFL game in some aspects is a little bit easier to read because the hashes are closer. So you're always essentially playing from the center of the field, which is a disadvantage for the defense. NFL defenses, depending on the tree they come from, are very structured in how they do things. So sometimes it's very black and white. And obviously teams are going to do things to disguise, certain looks and kind of ruffle a rookie quarterback. But in college football, week to week, you've got such a variance of types of defenses. And then you've got coordinators essentially installing new defenses to stop Caleb last year. So I think he's going to be in a situation now where the NFL game kind of lends itself to, more situations where he can check it down to the back. He can take the 3-yard check down. He can get the quick run out of bounds. He can hit the first progression, move to the second progression. There'll be more structure in the pocket. And then you have, a run game that's going to partner with what he's doing, which, in the style of offense, the tree of coaching that Lincoln Riley comes from, they see a lot of what you call drop 8 coverage, where you're essentially getting 8 defensive people dropping in coverage. And so you're forced to be in situations frequently where you got 8 versus 5. And it's hard, on a 3rd and 10 or a 3rd and 8 to always find that check down, especially when you're playing from behind. So the run game added into the style of play that you're going to get in Chicago, the big tight end that's going to be, the quarterback's best friend. I think that really lends itself to earliest success and a situation where he can really take advantage of it.
You're answering a lot of questions that we've had about the Lincoln Riley system versus the NFL system. What specifically is Caleb least ready for? What's going to be the biggest challenge as we dissect everything in camp and early on in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I wouldn't even say it's specific to Caleb, for rookie quarterbacks, every time going in, there's a process in which, they're getting now and this is actually changing in college football, but you're getting the play call through the helmet. You're going to have to huddle up and you're going to communicate with your players in a different fashion. I think, the NFL cadence is a weapon, right? And so, the way you inflect your voice at the line of scrimmage, certain checks that you're going to have to make. He's going to get a lot of help around him. I mean, his offensive line is going to do a good job in helping him with protections and understanding things. I think for rookie quarterbacks, when they're thrust into the situation early, it's making sure you're not putting them in a situation where they have to win the game every Sunday. but you've got kind of the guys around them and a game plan that really, lends itself to him being able to just inch along week by week. But yeah, I mean, I think just the nuances, the difference of the NFL game. The good thing is it's your job now. And I think you'd argue that Caleb was really excited to be in the NFL now because he doesn't have to go to class. He can spend all that time focusing on his football education, which he just loves ball.
Will Hewlett, it's the most important position in all of team sports, and teams keep getting it wrong year after year after year. Why do they get it wrong with such consistency?
They're not asking the right questions. They're not talking to the right people. I'm batting 100. They just need to talk to me. I'm just kidding.
1,000's better than 100, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there you go. 1,000. That's what it is. I'd see it. That's my baseball knowledge.
Yeah, you got 1 out of 10. Congratulations.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. Batting 1,000. How about that?
There you go.
The way to look at it is, I think the problem with the scouting process is you have to intimately. It's hard, right? You don't really get to know these guys through the meetings. It's like when I'm around a quarterback every single day, when I've sat down with them, watched their film, I really have intimate knowledge of how they work. I truly think the NFL rookie quarterback, the ones that bust. I saw like a very lazy comparison online of Caleb's style of play is just like Johnny Manziel's, and so he's not going to make it work in the NFL. Well, Johnny self-admittedly was doing a lot of things that he shouldn't have been doing, not watching film, partying, doing all that kind of jazz. He didn't put the effort in, so the game is going to catch up immediately, right? So I think if you work hard, you really pay attention to the small things, and then you have the talent that he has, the accuracy, the natural ability to move the chains, in crucial situations, the elite arm strength. He's going to be in a situation where it's really going to be a matter of just how they come together and gel as a team. So a lot of the times I think these quarterbacks don't have success because either the structure and the coaching system isn't there, they don't have the support around them. They're either too controlling or they're not letting them play. They make it too complicated. I think there's a romance in the game that I think offensive coordinators sometimes get caught up in how awesome this play looks like on the whiteboard. But the reality is, I think it's just, keeping it simple, getting a little bit better each week, and guys tend to have success.
Oh man, Will, I could talk to you for another hour. Will you come on the show again soon, please?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
Okay, yeah, I have 1,000 more questions for you.
I have some too.
We have 1,000 more questions for you, 2,000 more. But you think he's ready to be successful early? We saw C.J. Stroud. Is it? Yeah. You think he's ready to be successful early?
I mean, again, like I want to be careful. I want the expectations to be, I think for rookie quarterbacks it's always going to be tough, and not all situations are built the same. But if there's no one I've been around that's more ready to be a pro than Caleb. He's been waiting for this his whole life. There's going to be ups and downs. People are going to throw stuff at the television. There'll be turnovers. There'll be bad plays. But this kid's built the right way. He's been raised right. His dad has done such a good job of preparing him for, the spotlight, and he's taking care of all the little things. I think he's got a chance at having a great rookie season. Again, though, there's a lot of little pieces that have to come together. And again, it's like, are we expecting Super Bowl year one? I think that's an unrealistic expectation, but I think the kid has got the right things to help, turn the program in the right direction. I think the coaching staff is great. I've had a chance to be around the whole staff, and it's a great group of guys. I think they got all the pieces there. So, yeah, I think if fans are patient enough, and I know the Chicago fans have been very, very, very patient for a very, very long time. Caleb is different. He is wired different. And I'm excited to see what he's capable of, for the years to come.
Will Hewlett, Caleb Williams' quarterback coach. Thank you so much. This was very enjoyable and insightful. Thank you, sir.